Hi folks, I have your latest market report for week ending July 26th. My name is Santo Sessa with Remax Premier. Hit the subscribe button below, hit the bell so you get reminded when these come up. Comment below, I'd love to hear your comments. I respond to almost every comment there, and let's get started. Okay, so I'm first going to talk about the Vaughan freehold market, then Vaughan condos, then I'm going to get into the Toronto freehold market, then Toronto condos. And what's on the chart here is what's already happened. So if you want to comment or you want to phone me and complain about any of these numbers, well, if I start talking about the future, hey, argue with me on that. But these are actual real numbers. Let's get into it. So this is broken down, this chart, by week. I'm starting with March 8th. I don't know if you could see it on the camera there. The reason why I started March 8th is because it was just before we went into the health crisis, and at the beginning of March we're at our high point for the year. We're set to, this was going to be a phenomenal year. But then everybody knows what happened. We're in the health crisis. Everybody's told to stay home. So we had a kind of a lull for a month and a half, 2 months for real estate. It's all I'm talking about is real estate. Other industries are experiencing the health crisis differently. Everybody's experiencing it bad. There's just different versions of bad. So when it comes to real estate, and we're talking about Vaughan freehold prices, well, freehold prices for the last few weeks have been increasing, and last week, for week ending July 26th, we have an average sold price of $1,243,000. Sales have also been increasing. Last week we sold 72, and 34 of those were sold at list price or more. Getting back to price for a second, when we compare to where we were at the beginning of March, we're a little bit higher by 1.1%. So before the health crisis, we're sitting at a high price, and we're back up there to where we were at beginning of March prices. So it seems that the Vaughan freehold market has really rebounded. Sales, although they're a little bit less than where they were before the health crisis, they're pretty close. So it looks like the market has rebounded by looking at this chart. But let's look at it a little bit deeper. The blue line here, those are average sold prices for last year. The orange are average sold prices for this year. Average sold price is a little bit higher by almost 7% than where we were for the same week last year. Couple things to note here though. Last year we sold 4 properties at $2 million or more. This year it's the same. We sold 4 properties at $2 million or more. However, last year at this time we were in the summer market, and let's assume last year we had a normal market. We had the 4 seasons, so we had our spring market, our summer market. Spring market prices are normally higher. There's more activity than the summer market. Well, this year we had no spring market. We were all on lockdown, and it seems that we've picked up quickly, and our summer market this year is really our new spring market. So we're comparing, in a way, spring this year to summer last year. But I can only really look at calendar weeks. So we are higher average sold price by 6.8% compared to where we were last year, but the whole attitude this year is different. Let's look at sales. Compared to last year, we're higher. We sold 72 this week. Last year, same time, we sold 50. Now, of those 72, 47% were sold at list price or more. That's almost half. Last year, 14% were sold at list price or more. So last year, only 14% at list price or more. There was more time to think about the property. Let's have a look. Let's think about it. Let's analyze a few things before we put in an offer. This year is a lot less. Almost half properties selling at list price or more means that you don't have a lot of time if you're looking to buy. You really need to make a decision quickly, or someone else is going to either pay the asking price or outbid you in a multiple offer situation. Looking at new listings, we've got much more properties coming on the market. Why is this important? Well, sellers are starting to get more comfortable as we start opening up the markets of putting their properties out there. They're also seeing that, hey, prices are pretty strong. Let me get my property out there. I know there's a lot of sellers thinking they're hearing what the experts are saying, and I say that with air quotes, what the experts are saying. If we get a second wave, prices are going to plummet. Well, they said prices were going to plummet on the first wave, and they did. April was kind of the lull in prices, but man, you really had to be like on the ball to time it. You had about 3 or 4 weeks there where prices were at their lowest, and then they jumped up again. So maybe that's what sellers are thinking. If they don't get on the market now, they might lose the chance, and they really want to sell this year as opposed to next year. Months of inventory. So months of inventory really tell us a lot as far as supply and demand goes. And months of inventory has been dropping since I've got here, since May 24th, has been dropping almost every single week. We're now down to 2 months of inventory. Anything between 4 and 6 months of inventory is a balanced market. We're sitting very much in a seller's market, and one of the characteristics of a seller's market is that average sold prices do increase. So that's what's happening here. So the Vaughan freehold market, from my point of view, and I believe your point of view also, is pretty strong. It's doing well. When we look at Vaughan condos, it's really hard to take these numbers seriously just because sales volumes are so low, and 1 or 2 sales one way or another could really skew the numbers, and you're going to see that in a second. But average sold price did jump up, but they are going up and down every single week. We are less by almost 3% as far as average sold price goes than where we were last year. However, the week before we were higher. Over here we're the same. Here we're lower. And that's just because the sales are so low that it's really hard to take these numbers seriously. Sales are basically where they were last year. We're off by 1. New listings are a bit higher, so buyers are having more choices out there. And months of inventory has creeped into the balanced market stage, which kind of makes sense, right? As sales are lower, so there's less buyers buying. Listings for Vaughan condos has increased, so there's more choices. Well, you can really start to negotiate some prices. Doesn't mean you're going to get condos for free in Vaughan, but you can really start negotiating because the seller sees, well, if they don't buy mine, they've got 3 or 4 other choices that they can buy. If I don't sell, I might lose out to them buying from the competition. So you can see it's kind of more of a balanced market. And this happened with us actually. We bought a condo in Vaughan, and we were able to negotiate a great price and take our time with the negotiation. We didn't have to quickly get in and buy it. Let's look at Toronto freehold. Okay, so average sold price, it's lower by a couple of $100. So let's just call it the same for now because it's basically the same as it was the previous week. When we compare to where we were at the beginning of March, we're almost 7% lower than where we were at the beginning of March. So we've not fully recovered with average sold prices when it comes to Toronto freehold, but prices have gone up. Sales have been increasing. The amount of properties that are selling at $2 million or more have been increasing, where last week we sold 52. And 200 of these 323 properties sold at list price or more. Compared to last year, we're almost 18% higher when it comes to average sold price. Now, a factor for sure is 2 million of properties that it sold at 2 million or more. Last year we sold 30. This year we sold 52. So there's 22 extra properties in the luxury market that sold this year. for sure that's affecting the average sold price, bringing it up much higher. But 18% higher than where we were last year is a significant number. Sales of these 323 that sold last year, which is that sold this year, which is higher than what we've sold last year for the same week, 62% sold at list price or more. 62%. Last year it was 42%. Last year we call it a normal market. All the different seasons happened. This year we've got some crazy situations going on, but to think that 62% sold at list price or more, I'm not trying to create a feeling that's not there, but if you're in the market looking to buy, you're feeling the pressure. If you're a seller, you really got some strong negotiation power on your side if you're a seller, because properties are going very quick, and 62% selling at asking or more. New listings, we are way ahead of where we were last year, and it's been happening for a while now. So sales are a little bit higher, but new listings are even higher than where they were last year. Can we see kind of into the future that maybe this could be a problem? Maybe, but if buyers keep buying and listings don't go through the roof, then we're going to see more of the same. But if listings start to increase, then it could be a problem. Months of inventory, extremely strong in a seller's market. 1.5 months of inventory, so it's barely moved here, and it's been for weeks now between 1.7 and 1.5, and you know, although it kind of looks like it's dropped here, 1.4 mil, 1.4, 1473, 1323, it's kind of bouncing around that same price there. Toronto condos is a different story altogether. So average sold price dropped by, what's that, about $40,000. Sales increased from where they were last year. Increased from the previous week, and they've been increasing now for several weeks in a row. So buyers are buying Toronto condos. Compared to where we were at the beginning of March, we are 4.5% lower. So price has not really recovered yet from where we were at the high before we went into the health crisis. Compared to last year, we're 9.6% higher when it comes to average sold price. So price is still pretty stable. Sales, we're selling way less condos this year than we sold last year. But 43% of them sold at list price or more. So there's still some activity there. And, you know, I guess, although there's a lot of condos coming onto the market, this is the new listing. There are tons of condos. This is almost double from where we were last year. So their sales are lower than we were last year with Vaughan, Toronto condos. Listings way surpassing where we were last year. So you're starting to see there's a lot more choices. But sellers are not just giving their condos away, they're holding on to their prices. So that's why prices have not really dropped quite a bit. Months of inventory, 2.8 months of inventory. So it's a seller's market, but not like the other markets. It's not as strong as some of the other markets we were looking at where Toronto freehold was down to 1.5. So we're sitting at 2.8. It's kind of been hovering like that for weeks. Prices have generally been stable, though from last week to this week, they dropped. That's the recap with a lot of detail of what's going on in the GTA market. My name is Santo Sessa with RE/MAX Premier. I'd love to hear your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Have a great day.